low-code workflows, this collaborative model ultimately help each one of you guys as organizations deliver measurable impact faster. And then the second goal that we have is that we ultimately create great examples for others in your field to build from for their own AI use cases. And then, the big idea is that the benefits that we hope to provide collaboratively with each of you is, there's a bunch of training and deployments of this stuff where, we are covering the AI costs, the development costs, and the usage costs up to 1,000 users. And that really to go on this journey for us together of building one Copilot from pilot to production and trying to scale that up to 1,000 users while measuring its impact and everything that goes with that. So that's the high level stuff. And I just figured it would be worth repeating that. And then let's go to the next one. And we figured, at a high level, we have this picture. We obviously do things in multiple domains here. But Steve, if you go just to the next, and if we go to the next slide, we just wanted to show you a little video from one of our partners. This is Opportunity. Opportunity is a really big NGO operating across 40 countries in a variety of contexts in education, in finance, and in agriculture. And then they have built out, literally, I think 50 of these bots of various types in WhatsApp, in the web, in their own Android app, and in voice. And this is just a 3-minute story of some of their education work in Malawi. And I just thought it was kind of inspirational. And so, Steve, you want to kick this off?
Oh, yeah. So, Ambika, sorry.
Sorry. I just shared the sound as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
And that link, the image is linked, so you can click the link through the image.
Let me know if you can hear.
Meet Jacqueline, a teacher in a low-fee private school in Kinshasa. Her classroom, overcrowded, yet every day she strives to provide quality education to learners whose only way out of poverty is through education. In an environment where electricity is unreliable and internet is a luxury, how could Jacqueline possibly create individualized lesson plans for over 40 learners with varying abilities in the same classroom? This is where our AI teacher assistant comes in. We are revolutionizing education in the most challenging environments.
Jacqueline can use AI teacher assistant to create custom lesson plans with the learning outcomes she wants for her students. It helps her to choose activities that are best suited for her students at different levels. For instance, her high achievers like Ethan, Sophia, and Hamid are given more challenging activities, while her medium achievers like Gabbins and Nancy are encouraged to work in pairs. The AI Copilot function helps her refresh her own knowledge. For instance, Jacqueline can query the Copilot function to provide her with 4 examples of math problems and answers. And to support her lesson delivery, she can prompt Copilot to suggest real-world examples to these problems. Jacqueline can use AI to plan for all the lessons that she teaches. When Jacqueline was in school, she loved mixing colors, and she wants her learners to love it too. So she's using AI to remind her of the basics so she can teach it well and make sure they are having fun. Jacqueline is able to save her lesson plans for future reference and for shared learning with her peers.
So the apps gives us a lot of idea. When you are planning, you can even you can't struggle when you are teaching. For me, it will also give me that time to prepare myself for tomorrow's lesson, like making resources. Because in saving time, I will have more time with learners instead of sitting down in the afternoon and writing the lesson plan. I will have more time with learners and I will support them. It makes me to think outside what I need.
With personalized lesson plans and curriculum alignment at her fingertips, Jacqueline can now focus on what she does best, inspiring young minds. Imagine a world where every dedicated teacher has access to a timeless AI partner. A world where quality education isn't limited to resources or time. That's the future we're building. We're empowering teachers like Jacqueline to level the global educational playing field while shaping the next generation of leaders. This isn't just an app. It is a catalyst for educational revolution, one classroom at a time. Madame et Monsieur, voila, AI Teacher's Assistant.
Thank you. So this was just a little example, and we can share this recipe from them too. But this is an interesting one because what they're in for the education folks in the room, but I think it's relevant to lots of folks of it's a little bit of a mix, as you saw, of their own data that was coming in that they're recording about teachers that sort of fed into an embedded version of our chatbot that then is, leaning in on all of these AI tools to basically go ahead and create content. And so in particular for Open Up and for Open Up Resources and Teach for India, we can kind of get into like how they did that. How did they merge some of the like teacher specific data to basically pass it over to the bot so that then it's got that context and then it's going ahead and making these really deep parts. But this is just an example of, this was, I think, a video made 5 months ago of just the ways that these are being used. This is also available in Chichewa, in Malawi as well. And so anyways, this is just sort of like informational, sizzle, or, emotional sizzle that we all kind of hope to get there in terms of things that can transform lives via these AI assistants. Next, can we go to the next one? So Ambika, why don't you speak to this one? This is basically what we're thinking about over the course of the next couple months, and we'll break this down the timelines, but we figured we'd map out the major milestones.
So I think we'll just split it out into these 4 parts of how the Copilot will end up being built. We'll start off, I think, from the coming week. The idea is that firstly, we need to have our specifications super clear. We'll give you a few documents towards the end of the presentation today to be able to fill out and kind of zone in on exactly what you want to do. And then we'll start building a simple Copilot and then kind of flesh it out and make sure, it's working accurately through our evaluation tools and, get all those agentic goodness in it. And then finally, to make sure that it's kind of scaled and fine-tuned for your requirements on the field. So this is kind of going to happen over the next course of like next 6 Thursdays. And hopefully at the end of that, we have something really amazing for each team, and hopefully everyone's able to collaborate and give each other ideas on what can be done best. At the end of the presentation, we'll also give you a little bit of what you need to be prepared for the coming week. The next slide. Overall, the timelines are like, as I mentioned, about till the middle of June, we'll finish this milestone set that we have here for making your Copilot. And then eventually it's just going to be regular meetings where you're iterating with the users and we come back and do like a little follow-up with everyone weekly to see how the Copilot's running, where are you blocked, how we can help you. And of course, through docs and open office hours, we'll be able to kind of figure this out quite easily. We've already put some resources in place. We've got a very simple web link here, Gooey.AI/RockDoc. So I'll just put that in the chat as well, where I'll just show that to you as well, where you'll have more or less all your specifics of what you need to know, and all the updated details will be available there. And then I'll show you a couple more things. Is that okay to show now, Sean? Or do you want to like...
Yeah, let's just, at this point, we just want to make sure that everyone's unblocked with some of the basics, which is one, if everyone can just open this, and we'll share the link, this Gooey.AI/RockDoc. This will really be, you can think of this as like, this is a living document that is the sort of one go-to spot as you guys are moving along that, can you just bring it up, Ambika? That has like the schedule, the links to each of your workspaces, the links to each of your folders, and kind of can be a jumping off point. And so we just want to make sure, one, everyone can access this, but then two, there's a set of folders that we used here, which is your Google folders. And if we just open up the City of Seattle one, if you could, and we'll just sort of
Sorry, I
dive.
did open up. Sorry.
And then so each one of you has a specific Google folder where we'll basically begin to put documents. But the idea here, and especially in the course of the next week, we've sort of taken your application and the notes that we have had, and basically just started a draft of what would be the requirements, the problem, the use case, the impact, and our kind of KPI pieces. And this is intended to be the kind of living requirements document that allows us to communicate. And then if you scroll down a little bit, this is where, in terms of people on your team, requirements for each side, what we want to do, and then the tracking of progress and all of the links associated with this. This is really the living document that each one of you guys will use. So we're sort of just using Google Docs as both our tracking tool and our kind of knowledge repository, given it seemed like the easiest one. So each team should have essentially one of these Google Docs, and you should really feel that you are the owner and author of this thing so that it reflects essentially what we're trying to build collectively and how we want to measure it. And then also reflects the status of where we are in this process and any outstanding to-do items, either on your side or Gooey's side or anything else. And so the second thing we wanted to make sure is that each of you can actually access and edit your respective requirements docs, just to make sure that.
Sorry, to add a little color to that, we took information from the application process and from our conversations with each of you individually and put some of that information in here just to seed the thought. But we do want you to contribute to this and own this document.
Yes. And it's really just intended to be a first draft to give a little structure. But you should consider yourselves the absolute owner of that thing. So if anyone, basically can't access and edit their respective documents there, just please let us know. And then the second thing is, you want to bring up the workspaces, Ambika?
Shall I just show the screenshot that you have here?
Sure. Well, yeah. And so for each of you, for each team on Gooey, we have gone ahead and set up a workspace. And so the metaphor of Gooey is that there are teams that have workspaces, and then inside of each one of those workspaces, if you go to the saved tab, well, there are members. And so in this case, you can see some of the pending invites from Medtronic of the people that have signed up versus not. So if you log into Gooey.AI and hit sign in and log in with the emails that you shared with us earlier, you should see a little thing in the upper right-hand corner that has the name of your organization. And I would just hope that everyone, if you could try to do that now, we just want to make sure that everyone can log into their workspace. So if you can go to Gooey.AI and log in with the email address that you have, we just want to make sure that everyone sees the workspace in the upper right-hand corner that is associated with their organization. And so just give a shout out or raise your hand if for some reason you do not. And then if you go to the next tab in saved, this is really where, each one of your respective workflows will live. And so what we did is, at this point, I think if you mind, I'll drive here. We've sort of created just a scaffold bot for each one of you guys. And so if I go over and I'm inside of the Medtronic ones. Thank you, Manish, for going ahead and joining. And then sort of just walk through what you should expect to see. So Manish will make you an admin. So at least one person on your team should be an admin in case you need to invite others to basically work on these things. And then if you go over to saved, you'll see at least something called a starter copilot. And this one, we took the work in the case of Medtronics to flesh it out a little further, which is, there's this Bangladesh diabetes assistant, which is an example, and then I'll show you a kind of little web demo here where, basically this is a chatbot where you can ask questions intended for nurses in Bangladesh to basically ask questions about hypertension in ways that are backed up by the WHO guidelines around hypertension. And so this is just the very first example of it giving advice back about basically how to, adjust the frequency of HbA1c, providing this in both Bengal and English, and then providing citations back to the national diabetes guidelines so that somebody can take this further. And so this is just the very first kind of example of, what or starting place for that bot. And then if I go back a little bit, this is what's defining it. And this is intended to be a collaborative process and to try to demystify it, where, the only thing that's really associated here is this set of instructions, and all of you will get better at essentially doing LLM prompting. But this is really it, which is, the heart of it. You are a Bangalore an AI assistant, right? And then, you're trying to give concise answers, and then a little bit of stuff about how to format if it's WhatsApp or Twilio, and then this national guideline. And then you'll see it's really, there's not that much more to it than that knowledge documents that you see here, plus these instructions. And then all we did is we went over to integrations, where you can see we've got a little one where we said, great, we want to have an integration that's around essentially this web preview, and that's what's making here. So if I had another question, it's like, how do I take someone's, temperature? Which is kind of a stupid example if I can spell temperature. But you'll notice if I add a new starter question that exists here, and then I can just copy this. And then, so, any of you, and just in the spirit of collaboration, can now play with that Bengal assistant. And so this URL is totally shareable with any of your users or anyone else here. So the only thing that we're basically trying to say is this is essentially the the GUI workspace environment, where you can go ahead and edit these. You can ask more test questions. If you wanted to make another version of it, you can just duplicate it. You should really think of this like a Google Doc that is driving your bot. And I know this is kind of, this is the fire hose, but this is the ultimate types of artifacts that you'll be making with your own knowledge base here and your own instruction prompts. And then kind of, this is the stuff that's going to go out to users. In later sessions, we'll talk about the dashboards where you can do analysis and those other things. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody at least has access to their respective, page here where you can see the members, and then you should have this at least one saved workflow where you guys are going ahead and adding to that. So is anybody not able to get into their workspace? Okay. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Because you want to go to the next part?
First section is anyway we have a module on getting into the workspace.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to the slides again?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just bring you all back to, I think, mostly our last slide now. So just some prep for the next session. We've already shown you a bit of those docs. Each of you have your own folder. So please kind of start putting your details in. In no way are we expecting you to like write it superbly thoroughly, but at least have all of your thoughts in place. Make sure you are sort of have a concrete idea of what you'd like to be doing, so that the next few weeks are sort of focused and you are able to kind of build something, and we're not stuck in a sort of conceptual whirlpool. And then the other thing is to RAG docs basically means the core documents, like just Sean showed that demo where you could see the specific PDF page. So make sure your core documents that you need to make sure that they're kind of readily available, whether those are PDFs, Google Docs, Excel sheets, CSVs, videos, whatever those are, at least like they're all kind of collected, most of them. And then we start building a co-pilot from the coming sessions. The next piece, what you need to start thinking about, but is in no way essential for the next session, is to kind of start thinking about what are those specific kind of questions that you know that users are going to ask initially, and to kind of ensure that we have some specific expert answers available for them, so we can test our Copilot and know whether it's able to kind of accurately match these expert answers or not. So whether it's as simple as what Rob said, that, hey, I want to find out something about some zoning difficulties in my house, and then you just want to know which department to go to. So if that's your question, that go to XYZ department, just have a few of those questions ready so that we can kind of test whether the Copilot's going across in that.
And there's just one piece, the question and answer that you think should be there, right? That's one thing that we're missing here. And this begins to give us the sort of testing framework for us to evaluate, is the bot doing a good job, right? And you'll find, and we'll give you, you should have actually in your requirements documents, a template, which is just a Google sheet, which sort of shows that off. And maybe it's worth kind of diving in at a slightly deeper level of like what those look like. Let me just, I'll show you. So again, to take the metronics.
Time, maybe we leave, if that's okay. Like, I think we have a little bit.
Yeah, we will get to it in the future ones. We do want to make sure that you guys have time for questions.
And then, of course, if you are doing non-English, to make sure that you are you have some audio samples with you, like whatever those might be, small phrases which are actually questions, but they're available as audio files.
And in general, to Ashadi's question of that sample size, again, we'll give you the sheet on this, but these are usually, you can just think of as, like often it's going to be like WhatsApp audio notes. So, if someone in your case, Shadi, if they were asking like, how do I find the nearest clinic in Tunis? And they're asking that question in, say, Twi or Chichua, you would just, and that's, emblematic of the sort of question and user that you would have, you would just say, hey, on that actual Android phone that they are using, how would they record that as a WhatsApp audio note, and then just send that over, and then start putting that into like a Google folder. And then you can imagine that also you want to have ultimately an expert level transcription of that phrase, like what would be that phrase in Chichewa, and then what is the English translation. And so those are the three parts that you really want with those samples. And the reason that this is useful, just for all of the people thinking about non-English scenarios, is we will use that, which is the real audio samples and the real human translations that it should be, again, as the kind of test showcase for the process to determine which of all of the latest state-of-the-art AI models actually gets as close as possible to the transcription and translation that you guys have provided. So we're sort of just at this point making sure we've got our use cases super clear and making sure that we're clear on the kind of test cases. And we're not focused really at the technology level at all, but we will use this to ultimately choose which technologies are most appropriate for your particular use case.
All right, we'll open the floor for any questions people have. Yeah, Angela, you said you weren't able to get into the workspace. You want to DM me your email and I'll add you to the workspace.
The next sessions, actually, can you just, there was one piece that we did skip. Ambika, would you just go back 2 slides on resources? One more. Yes. Just on communication channels, obviously you can continue to message our internal team at Accelerator at Gooey.AI, but we've also set up, in lieu of something like a WhatsApp group or a Signal group, we've just set up a group email alias where, basically if you guys have technical questions that you think chances are other people also have, or non-technical questions, this will basically be CC'd to everyone else. And so this is our kind of somewhat spammy discussion group, right, that hopefully enables everybody, regardless of their organization's technical requirements, to be engaged there. And that's the sort of reply all. If the volume of that gets too high, feel free to turn those off. But the idea is Rock Discuss is going to be our kind of email alias where we get to see the chatter. And we will encourage you guys that as you get a demo up and you have something to show off, or you think you've got a question that other people may also have, we would encourage you to basically go ahead and send that there. Okay. Questions? Other places where people are blocked?
Sean, this, Munish from Metronics Lab. So just want to clarify on the level of competency. So we are also trying to figure out the team to support this work.
Mhm.
And from a technical competency standpoint, right, what kind of skill set we need to bring in for this collaboration, right? Some information on that would be super helpful.
Sure. So as we said in the application, we found it's really helpful to have a pairing on each side, at least two people. One person who has a deep sense of what your beneficiaries are facing and how they operate every day. Ideally, this person is a mentor or expert trainer for that person. And usually that person's not so technical, but they really know the domain, right? And are kind of on the front lines of helping people there. On the other side, we would really consider the kind of technical person more like a PM than a developer, right? And so ultimately, this person will be in charge of looking at a lot of data, right? And trying to make adjustments to what's working, what's not, where are there holes, where is the bot effectively answering questions versus failing. And so some skills around data analytics are going to be useful there as we progress. And that, at least has kind of like a high level kind of technical picture of, okay, there's a WhatsApp bot that's connecting into to your script that's then connecting underneath to an LLM that's talking to your set of documents. And that workflow page that I mentioned there, it's a low code environment. It's not a no code environment. So it's really a PM that I would say. But you don't need to be a developer there. I think in time there will be somewhat of a skill, and we'll try, which is a little bit of, somebody that's learning what it means to be like an AI prompter, right? And ultimately learning the techniques to say, how do I describe what I want that this bot to do in a way that the AI can understand. And there's a little bit of art and science to that the industry is kind of developing. So does that answer your question? And,
No,
and
this
so
is
that PM will be the maintainer of that workflow, right? Which is, what are the knowledge documents? How well is it working? What is the experience that end users are then seeing? And so there's some technical piece, but it's in with the analytics portion.
I think I'll add that it's helpful often, particularly for deployment, for somebody who at least understands the workings of APIs and how to manipulate those a bit.
Yeah, but not every use case requires that, right? We have a bunch of folks that are just, building a WhatsApp bot that, as you saw, that is backed by, a set of, PDFs, right? And then has that prompt. And that's really the main portions.
okay. Okay. No, this is helpful. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Steve.
Other questions? Okay. As we said, we're going to work to basically try to get these requirements pieces defined, and then you'll see as soon as possible, try to get it so that you guys have an artifact, right, that you can begin putting in front of real people and then iterate against that. And so one of the requirements that's important is that we are clear on the modality. And so by modality, we really mean like, is this a web thing? Is this a voice thing? Is this a WhatsApp thing? And where's it going to live? And then we will work to basically try to get and work with you that if you want to do WhatsApp or you want this to be enabled via voice, to basically provision those telephone numbers and make sure that you guys can own and manage those telephone numbers in the long term. So if you're looking at, in particular, WhatsApp or voice, we will need a short kind of Zoom session where we can walk you through basically just making sure that you have a telephone number that your organization can manage in the long term. Rob, I guess I'm thinking about you and the Teach for India. I mean, for anybody that's doing kind of WhatsApp or voice stuff, we'll need that. And yeah, and so, but to try to get it to the basic point where, great, there's a URL or a bot or a WhatsApp number or a telephone number where you can suddenly call in and it's connected to the workflow that you see in your workspace. And as you make changes to that workspace, then that experience begins to change. And that's where these things get really fun. So yeah, any other questions? Okay. Ambika, any closing remarks?
Sorry, I had one
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Have we identified a platform or process for asynchronous questions and that sort of thing? The best way to ask specifics
Yeah,
throughout the week, for example.
the Google alias, the Gmail alias for Rock discuss at
Yes.
Gooey.AI should work. So that's more of the public one, but if there's something very specific that you want to ask and you are not comfortable to share with everyone, you can always email us at accelerator@gooey.ai and then ambika@gooey.ai.
Yeah.
So I know, I guess some of you are figuring out more of your team members, so I'll urge you to just email me and at Accelerator. I'll just put both the emails on the chat and then say that, hey, these are the people we want to add and their email addresses, and then I'll just add them before we start our session in the coming week. Don't stress, it's all going to be very nice and low code. Dave's built a wonderful platform which anyone can use. We've taught all kinds of people, so please come with an open mind and be relaxed. You're the experts, we are not. So don't at all have to worry about it. We only have to help you build something. So just kind of work out a little bit on the document and the rest of it we'll manage with you. So like you're in good hands, don't worry.
Hitesh, to your question, you will use likely your existing WhatsApp business account for anybody doing things on WhatsApp. But I would encourage you that if you want a local SIM or a local telephone number for India, that you go and buy a new +91 SIM that will, and maybe even two, so you can have a pre-production and a production one, and then we can hook up and integrate both of those numbers. And that'll probably be in a Zoom call to basically just walk you through how to do that. For folks that want US numbers, right, it's pretty easy to provision those. And then so right now we're using Twilio. So anyway, so that may be better suited on an individual case by case basis. But if for the folks not operating in the US that want non-US numbers, I wouldn't, and you want to do stuff on WhatsApp in particular, I would encourage you to go buy probably two SIMs. That will be that also be the ones that you can advertise to users. Shadi, I guess I'm thinking about you in particular on that one. And then if you want to use +1 numbers, those are pretty easy, as I said, for us to provision. We have found that in time, if we provision them, ultimately transferring them back to your organization is a little tough. So it's probably better that we start from the beginning with telephone numbers that you guys control.
Awesome, thank you. I will just think about the sustainability of the phone number, actually, not the nationality of the phone number. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, in the case of, I think what you guys are thinking about, if it's a WhatsApp number, it's probably going to be advertised via QR code anyways, so it may not matter that much.
Is it okay if we do a screenshot of everyone so that we have I don't know, is that okay?
Sure.
If you want to say, I don't know.
Do you want to smile or wave or?
Yeah, let's wave. Perfect.
Got it.
Oh yeah, the double hand up. Wow, that's good, Robin.
I was too
And then
fast.
And then, so Tesh, you'd asked us, does it cover the cost of the accelerator conversation to 1,000 users? So we are covering the WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a little weird. It only charges actually for the outbound messages that you may send after 24 hours after their incoming ones. And so as we've set it up, all of the incoming messages for those first 1,000 users, we are covering as part of this. If you want to pay for additional kind of re-engagement alerts, which is WhatsApp business models, that's not covered. It's not particularly expensive at this level of scale, but all of the like incoming back and forth stuff we are covering. Yeah. Other questions? These are good ones. I think the only other one is we probably will end up doing a set of, we'll advertise like office hours and kind of in-person Zoom sessions. Given the kind of global spread of everyone here, we'll probably do two, kind of US focused and then non-US focused times just to make it easy for everyone. So, okay. Ambika, do you want to just recap the homework and then we'll let everybody go?
Yeah, just added these two most important links on the chat, which is RocDoc and then the email, which is common for everybody. And for homework, we will.
Yeah, it's really just making sure that you like your requirements document. And that,
So just as a recap, in case you dropped off or you weren't around. So DropDoc takes you to this document here, which is just general information, all the things that you kind of can expect over the course of the next few weeks. Each of these links go directly to your workspaces once you signed up, a couple of guides. And then this is essential for the coming week, where if you go to your own folder, you'll notice that there'll be a document with your org's name and some things already pre-populated. So we'd love for you to be able to like close this out as much as you can. And then the second part that's kind of core to the coming week is to get your documents together, as Sean showed, specifically like the diabetes copilot, where they were like these docs that were kind of referenced. So whatever they might be, like, they could be instructional, they could be data points, whatever those are, just to kind of get them all together, and then we'll move from there. Videos even. So.
And the only one caveat that we'd say is that could be very much a living document. So if that's just an Office 365 or Google document that you expect to change and edit, then that's totally okay. You can just add the link to that. And then, the bot is smart enough to deal with real-time changes to that. And so that, yeah, it doesn't have to be static. And then in the case of Open Up, this is the sort of collection of web pages, right, that we're going to want to use. But if we can begin to document what are all those links, that will matter.
Okay, message me anytime.
I think we're at time.
Anything, yeah. And thank you for your time. Thanks everyone for joining.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Vicky, I see your question. They can just email me. I can help them get in. Yeah. All right. Oh, I think you're muted.
Nope, I said I see your email. Helpfully in your name field, so I will share that with them.
Yeah, it's a big holiday in Kenya today, I heard. So everybody, yeah,
India, everywhere. So Nepal. So yeah, no, it's Labor Day. It's International Labor Day, so everybody's off. So I'm it.
Vicky, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks all. Bye.
See you all.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Are we meeting again? I don't know.
You did great. Congratulations. That was really.
Thanks for bringing such amazing people to the accelerator, Martha. That's really a lot of you.
Oh, well, and then to get them to come. I thought it was a good question. What type of people do you want to join?
Yeah.
And anyway, I see Sean's doing. Anyway, you were brilliant. Thank you for your hard work, and I'm going to learn too. So anyway, thanks. Thank you. I guess I've got to join Sean somewhere else. Bye.
Bye.